Was Jesus Christ a socialist? PragerU sets out to answer this question. Let's approach it with an open minds, open hearts, and see what happens, okay? If this tab ever loads in. Good lord. Alright.
More Israelis are ordering the New Testament from our website than ever before.
Good for
And
you.
remember,
Alright.
Was Jesus a socialist? Well, if socialism is not...
Wait.
John D. Rockefeller...
Wait. Oh gosh. Sorry, I didn't watch this video beforehand. I never watch the videos that we watch on here, but I find this incredibly funny.
Well, if socialism is nothing more than being kind to other people, then you might think the answer is yes. But you could be kind to other people and be a capitalist. John D. Rockefeller probably gave away more money than anyone in human history, and he was certainly a capitalist. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have given away millions, too. To get an accurate answer to our question, we need to define socialism. Socialism is the concentration of power into the hands of government elites to achieve the following purposes.
No. This is incorrect. Let's let him list the purposes real quick.
Central planning of the economy,
No?
and the radical redistribution of wealth.
That one might be true. So, guys, here's what socialism means. I'm gonna go over it real quick. There you go. Socialism is essentially democracy. It's just applying the concept of democracy to your workplace. So instead of your workplace being owned by one person at the very top of the company, or by a small collection of individuals at the top of the company, instead, all of the people who work at the company collectively own the company. And they collectively make decisions on it. This is why it is social. It's socialism. So essentially it is, but when I say they collectively make decisions, I don't mean that they necessarily all work like vote individually on every single decision, but they collectively set the policy of the company. It's like a democracy. You vote for representatives. You're able to exert power that way by voting, by participating in the government of the United States. You're able to exert political power. You're just applying that to a workplace. Fair enough. And on top of that, socialism includes a certain decommodification of certain aspects of the economy, specifically things that are not fit for capitalist enterprises because they become monopolies. Things like, I don't know, Comcast? How many of you people watching right now only have Comcast as an option for internet service in your area? How many of you only have, I don't know, one option for water in your area? Maybe one option for power? These are things that are monopolies in different localities all across the United States. Socialism just says, hey, maybe we shouldn't approach these things on a for-profit basis because they're things that people need in order to live in a modern society. So, yeah, maybe the government should handle these things because that way, unlike a private company, the government in a democracy is accountable to the people. So, at the very least, far more than a private company is. So, yeah, that's essentially socialism. You have the people democratically controlling different necessities and providing them for free to people who need them. You have the luxury markets being handled by worker co-ops, by workers who control their own means of production, and that's totally, totally fine. So this idea that socialism is concentration of power into the hands of government elites, as if government elites are untouchable dictators, this is a misconception, and it's scaremongering tactics like this that make socialism seem ridiculous. This is not how it actually functions in our democracy, and really giving a false definition like this just shows how weak their arguments against socialism are. They have to misrepresent it, otherwise it sounds too reasonable for their listeners.
Central planning of the economy.
This is not something that you need to do in order to have socialism. This is an aspect of authoritarian state capitalism. Authoritarian state capitalism is not socialist. You'll recognize that it's not socialist because it has the name, it has the word capitalism in it. It's not socialist.
And the radical redistribution of wealth.
Now, the radical redistribution of wealth might be accurate. However, the conception that conservatives tend to have is that socialists are going to come to their doors with guns and force them to turn over their secret vaults they have in the basement where they keep their stolen Confederate gold or something like that. That's not how this would work in like a democracy. Instead, the rich would be taxed, which they currently are under capitalism. So if taxing the rich is radical redistribution, I guess that's accurate, but taxing the rich wouldn't just, you wouldn't just tax the rich, you'd also tax everyone else. Like we currently do. You would just tax the rich slightly more, because right now, guess what radical wealth redistribution is going on right now? The poor are paying more than the rich are on the whole in society. So, on that note, you don't actually need to redistribute wealth in order to have a socialist society, because you can just have worker co-ops, and worker co-ops, by their very nature and functioning as democratic workplaces, already redistribute the wealth and profits of that company far more equitably than private companies do. So, yeah, you don't need men with guns to achieve something that A, already happens, and B, already happens, because we already have worker co-ops under capitalism. We just need more of them to make socialism.
Of wealth. Jesus never called for any of that. Nowhere in the New Testament does he advocate for the government to punish the rich or even to use tax money to help the poor.
You know what Jesus does say? He says, "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's." Yeah, we can rewind this. But before we play it again, Jesus Christ said to his followers, "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's," which means you should follow tax plans, which means if the government passes a law that taxes the rich should pay their taxes. Anyway, let's listen to this bit again, real quick.
Never called for any of that. Nowhere in the New Testament does he advocate for the government to punish the rich or even to...
Correct. Jesus doesn't say anything that, yes, your governments should punish the rich. He does say that if you're rich, you're probably going to hell. He does say that. I'm paraphrasing because Jesus doesn't actually talk all that much about hell. But yeah, he's saying that your chances of getting into heaven if you're rich are extremely small. Like eye of a needle small, pushing an entire camel through the eye of a needle. Yeah. Basically, if you're rich, you're not getting into heaven.
Or even to use tax money to help the poor.
Jesus did say, give away all of your possessions and follow me. I don't know. I feel like it's not explicitly saying use tax money, but he is saying you should help the poor. If you're a Christian, you're professing that you are like following in the path of Christ, and Christ helped the poor and the impoverished. I don't understand how if you have a political outlook that is based on Christ, that you can justify not using what little political power you have in a democracy to like advocate for policies that hurt poor people.
Nor does he promote the ideas of state ownership of businesses.
Again, he says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. If the state owns businesses, then under Jesus's teachings, that's fine. Give the state what the state owns.
Or central planning of the economy.
Fuck. I didn't expect to be less than a minute into this and be just absolutely beside myself. This is some real big brain stuff. Very big brained. True. There's actually a lost chapter of the New Testament where Jesus goes in depth on his tax policies.
In Luke 12, Jesus is confronted by a man who wants him to redistribute wealth. Master, the man says to Jesus, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. Jesus replies, man, who made me a judge or divider over you? And
Let's find out what Luke 12 says, huh? I feel like this paraphrase is not going accurately. Oh, weird. Did they stop the quote right before what he continued on to say? Someone in the crowd said to him, Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. Jesus replied, Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you? Then he said to them, Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. Well, and some of you are asking, like, why am I going over this? Part of it is because I'm trying to reach evangelicals in the United States. I'm trying to reach some conservatives here, because I'm pointing out here that the use of their religion to bolster capitalism is a gross perversion of where their priorities should be. And I think that doing that is useful for any leftist movement, and something that we should, as leftists, consider doing more of. Because, yeah, we might not individually care what some old book says, but there are tens of millions of people in this country who care very, very much.
then he rebukes the man for being envious of his sibling. How about Jesus' parable of the talents? Talents were a form of money in Jesus' day. A man entrusted 3 of his workers with his wealth. The 2 who invested the money and made a profit were praised, and the one who buried his share so he wouldn't lose any of it was reprimanded. Sounds a lot more like an endorsement for capitalism than socialism, doesn't it?
No, it was feudalism, you absolute dumb fuck.
Yes, Jesus spoke of the difficulty for a rich man to enter heaven, but not because having money is evil. It's not money, rather it is the love of money, the New Testament tells us, that leads to evil. Jesus was warning us not to put acquisition of money and material possessions above our spiritual and moral lives. Was Jesus promoting a socialist model?
Well, Transylvanian, I would just say that, like, if you give up, then they already win. If you give up, people become lost. I would prefer not to give up. That's my own. It's my own position.
When he kicked the money changers out of the temple in Jerusalem? Again, the answer is no. Note the location where the incident occurred. It was in the holiest of places, God's house. Jesus was not angry at buying and selling in and of themselves. He was angry that these things happened in a house of prayer. He never drove a money changer from a marketplace or from a bank. Jesus advises us to be of generous spirit, to show kindness, to assist the widow and the orphan. But he clearly means this to be our responsibility, not the government's.
Why? Why are you drawing this distinction, especially in a democracy that caters to the will of the people? It makes a lot of sense not to talk about how your personal responsibility it doesn't. Okay, it makes a whole lot of sense if you're living under like an empire or like a feudalistic regime to talk about individual responsibility rather than the government's responsibility, because under feudalism, the government's responsibility has no bearing on individual responsibility, and vice versa. However, under a democracy where you individually, with your own responsibility, can exercise political power that drastically changes how the government operates, then it becomes, at least in part, some of your responsibility to ensure that the government is carrying out certain things that, jive with your outlooks. So if you're professing to be a Christian and Christ is telling you to help the poor, why are you just helping the poor when it comes to what you personally can do, when that also extends to how you vote, how you exert your power in a political system? Should you not also be helping the poor in a political system that you have agency in? Or is that because it has some bearing on government? Is that just like completely a different reality? I would argue it's not.
Consider Jesus' Good Samaritan story. A traveler comes upon a man at the side of a road. The man had been beaten and robbed and left half dead. What did the traveler, the Good Samaritan, do? He helps the unfortunate man on the spot with his own resources. Ask yourself, to help the poor, would Jesus prefer that you give your money freely to the Salvation Army, for example, or have it taxed by politicians to fund a welfare bureaucracy?
I think Jesus would prefer the second one, to be honest. I think that Jesus would prefer the road be properly guarded, so as there is no one who is getting beaten and left for dead on the side of the road. I think Jesus would prefer that the government is using its power to help the poor and the destitute, rather than relying on Good Samaritans. Because, hey, it's great that Good Samaritans exist. It's really, really great. But you know what's even better? When Good Samaritans don't have to exist. Because collectively, Good Samaritans in society got together and voted, hey, we would like to tax more. We would like to pay more in tax to help poor people. Yeah, I think that's what Jesus would prefer more of. Good Samaritans when it comes to politics as well as interpersonal relations.
Progressives like to point out that Jesus said, "Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's,
True.
and unto God the things that are God's." But that has absolutely nothing to do with high taxes or wealth redistribution.
Why not? If you have high taxes, why are you complaining? Give unto Caesar, my dude.
It was the seed for the idea of separating church and state. It certainly wasn't the same as saying that whatever Caesar says is his must then be so, no matter how much he demands or what he intends to use it for.
I don't know. I I think Jesus was being pretty unambiguous here. Give unto Caesar what's Caesar's, my dude.
So there is no evidence that Jesus was a socialist, and there's lots of evidence that he supported free markets. In addition to the parable of the talents,
I don't think you can take away that Jesus supported free markets. If he really supported free markets, he would have been okay with the money changers being in the temple. After all, they were free to set up their stalls in the temple. Seems like Jesus was imposing some sort of restriction here. Jesus wanted people to give out of their own free will. True. This is why Christians should band together to demand higher taxes so that we can more efficiently take care of the poor and the sick and the injured and the homeless. I agree. Well, no, you're not forcing the rich to give. We live in a democracy. So, again, if Good Samaritans get together to use their free will to demand higher taxes, well, then render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. That's part of the bargain here. So slavery wasn't force if it was voted on. Nice forehead logic, person. Except we didn't vote on slavery. People were disenfranchised. We have more people to equitably enfranchise everyone, so everyone has a say in our government. They did in Greece. Where did they vote? Wait, where? I think you need to provide some sources on that one, my dude. You can provide some sources, and then we'll get back to that, okay? Well, yeah, Greece did enslave people. This is true. They didn't enslave people on the basis of their race. This is a common misnomer. Slavery was not the same over all points in time. There's a big difference. True, the South did vote for slavery when black people couldn't vote. So they democratically approved slavery. Yeah, for people who weren't part of their country. Well, my dude, was it better when monarchy said slavery was okay? Which was better? Was it democracy or was it monarchy? Or was it empire? Which was the better form of government, my dude? Monarchy was the better. Why? I want an actual argument here. Trump care, best care? I don't know what you're talking about. You're making dumb fuck arguments about horses voting. Oh, okay, so you're a monarchist. Well, then I think that you're a very stupid person. I mean, that's fine. People who want us to have to rely on charity want to be able to take personal credit and virtue signal their good deeds. They want poor people to be dependent on their whims. True. Want to have a Discord debate with the monarchist? It could be fun. I would rather bash my head against bricks.
Jesus offers his parable of the workers in the vineyard. In it, a landowner hires some laborers to pick grapes. Near the end of the day, he realizes he needs more workers to get the job done.
Instead of blaming others for being poor, maybe make something of yourself. Well, my dude, the issue is the US government gives subsidies to the rich. In 2008, the United States literally gave $12 trillion to the rich and the wealthy. We just don't extend the same sort of benefits to the poor. So when you talk about like, oh, poor people need to lift themselves up by their bootstraps, maybe I'll shut up when the United States government provides the same sort of welfare to the poor as it does to the rich, okay? Yeah, I mean, Trump care is best care. Just you're so why are you being so lazy talking on Twitch? Shouldn't you be out becoming Jeff Bezos 2.0? Why aren't you twice as wealthy as Jeff Bezos? Is it because you're lazy and have bad arguments on Twitch? I think so. I think so. Oh, because it. Well, that's Trump care, best care. Jeff Bezos has actually gotten richer during the pandemic. So just because you can't go outside doesn't mean you can't get richer. Why aren't you getting richer right now as we speak? Sounds like you're blaming others for your problems, my dude. I think you need to actually put in some hard work because you're not actually becoming wealthier by complaining on Twitch. Why are you demanding that other people bend to your whims? Why can't you just lift yourself up by your bootstraps, dude? Why are you so lazy? Why aren't you a billionaire? God. I already did lift myself up. Well, then why are you complaining about not going outside? Shouldn't you be getting richer then, like Jeff Bezos? I mean, it seems like you're just being really lazy right now and talking on Twitch. So, I mean, you maybe you lifted yourself up. I don't think it's enough though. You know, you seem pretty oh, it's illegal. Oh, well, I mean, again, Jeff Bezos has increased his wealth despite lockdowns. Why aren't you doing the same? It's because you're lazy. You're not lifting yourself up by the bootstraps, my dude. Maybe you should try doing that a bit harder so you can make wealth even if you're trapped inside. I'm living to my potential? Oh, well then your potential is shit then. What? Why aren't you... I guess you're just not as good as Jeff Bezos. Damn, Jeff Bezos is real smart? Do you think he's 3 billion times smarter than you? Okay, so he's 3 billion times smarter. Okay, gotcha. Just how did this Ubermensch become so smart? What exactly are his smart ideas, please? Could you lay them out for me? Could you lay out what Jeff Bezos' smart ideas were, please? Managing relationships. So he was good at managing relationships. This makes sense because you're pretty bad at managing relationships right here, my dude. You're kind of coming off as extremely shitty. No wonder your potential is so low. Takes two to make a good relationship. You suck at it. I don't know. You kind of came in here and just shat yourself. So, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Divorced guy, good at managing relationships. Yeah, my dude, he lost the most money in the history of, like, being wealthy because he couldn't handle his relationship. Oh, gosh. Wait, does that mean Jeff Bezos' ex-wife is, like, still, like, wait, 9 billion times smarter than you? Because she was able to divorce Jeff Bezos for half his money? Dang. How does it feel to get cucked like this by a capitalist's wife? Just like, you're like, oh, yes, she's an efficient gold digger. I'm glad you recognize that she worked 3 billion times harder than you to be that much more wealthy than you are, my dude. Oh, gosh. I like how this guy is like, taxes are unethical. Jesus is against taxes, but also, actually, yes, it's good when women divorce men for their money. It shows that they're way smarter than the average person. I agree. Women are a lot smarter when they divorce men for their money. Ants work harder than most humans, but they have little value. What the fuck? Guys, this is why I say capitalists are really, really bad at arguing for their positions. They're really bad. Like, laughably bad. We have a really good time anytime one of these people come in. Like, oh yes, the ants. We are all like ants to Jeff Bezos, a massive man with a truly large and erect penis. I would gladly take Jeff Bezos' erect dick right up my butthole. Um, I did. I lost the debate because of ants, both the creature and the film. You don't even work hard. You're fat ass. You're fat first off. That's a great sign right off the bat. My dude, people literally pay me to be thick AF. It's fine. I have 4 jobs. One of them involves getting paid because people think I'm hot. What do you have? What do you have, Mister? I'm locked inside because of COVID. That's why I can't get richer. Wah. I'm a capitalist and the system works, but it's the mean government who's preventing me from succeeding because I can't go outside. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos is so smart and has such a big dick, and I'm just gonna choke on it every single day. Like, that's what you sound like right now. And you're not even getting paid for it. That's the saddest part. Democrats are creating socialism, restricting human potential. My dude, you don't even know what socialism means. If I asked you to define it right now, you wouldn't be able to do it. And I know that because I've talked with enough people like you on this platform, and they don't know what it means. So many people like you have no idea how to define socialism. And it's wild. I can tell you because it's communalism? Wait, communalism? Do you know what communalism is, my dude? I would ask you to define that for me, please. Yeah, spread the wealth. Yeah, what does it mean? Are you, like, you're just saying it's when people spread the wealth? Is that all communism is? Fuck yeah, spread it. Spread it, Jeff Bezos. Daddy Bezos. Daddy, please spread it. You know, we live in a really progressive society. I'm sure you could marry Jeff Bezos and take half his wealth in a divorce. Imagine how not knowing communalism is a word. Well, most people say socialism is communism. So, like, I don't know. All I asked you was to define it. Because, again, you said socialism is communalism. That's not a definition, my dude. How about you define the word for me like I asked you to, because I don't think you know what it means. I'm a communist? Yeah. You people are like the lolsiest. So many of you are just like socialism is communism or it's communalism, and that's the definition. Well, I don't think you know what either of those words mean. So tell me what you think it means in tangible sense. It's funny because like you guys fire off all of these like, oh, the entire group sharing resources. Incorrect. That is an incorrect understanding of socialism or communism. Oh yeah, no. Transylvania, he's definitely a troll. I don't know if he's LARPing though. Capitalists tend to be very stupid. As an ANCOM monarchist, this is offensive. Oh gosh. So socialists don't share resources. I said your definition is incorrect. If you would like to try again, you're free to, or I can just tell you. But my guess is, again, since you don't know what the words mean, your understanding is going to be extremely limited. No, I said it was incorrect. I literally read the definition that you gave and said it was wrong. Would you like me to tell you what it means? I can use small words so you understand, okay? So, here's what it means. Socialism is when the workers control the means of production. That is when the workers at a workplace collectively own that workplace. And furthermore, socialism is when there are select parts of the economy that are decommodified. That word is really long, but basically it just means that they are free to people at point of sale. Now, on top of that, if you want a communist society, all you have to do on top of those two things is dissolve the state so you no longer have it. So that's essentially your idea here. Like that's what socialism means, my dude. So people sharing resources is not what it means. It's a specific economic model that relies on the workers owning capital together. Instead of capitalists owning capital, the workers own it. Very simple. Resources are not the means of production, dipshit. I was using small words so you could understand. But again, resources does not mean means of production. Resources are not the means of production. God damn. Capitalist breadlines for the win. True. How are resources the means of production? Resources is hella vague. Yeah, the means of production produce goods, like commodities, from resources. That's what the means of production do. Look up Cuba or Venezuela. Sad Andy, I would ask you if either Cuba or Venezuela, the workers owned the means of production. If not, then they aren't socialist. Also, hello, Sad Andy. Again, if the workers don't own the means of production, then the country isn't socialist. If workers don't have meaningful control over their work environment, then it's not socialist. There are multiple definitions of socialism. That's why I use a very simple one for people to understand. One where, again, workers own the means of production, and again, there is decommodification to a significant degree in the economy. Do 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 do. Trump care is best care. I know that I made you mad because I said that you didn't know the definitions of words and now you're trying to use the same thing against me. But that's fine. It's okay. I understand that you didn't know what socialism is, and now you do. I'm glad I could provide that service for you. Do, 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 do. We are actually extremely wealthy here in the US. I agree. And I just think that we should use that wealth to help the poor and the sick and the homeless. Because generally studies show that when you provide for those people, they're able to give back to the economy. It's actually far more helpful to lift up the people at the bottom of society than it is to keep the rich rich through, again, giving like $12 trillion to the financial sector during events like 2008. Yeah, exactly. Most of the population sees none of the wealth in the United States. Well, Trump care is best care. Usually when people talk about resources, they're talking about raw material. Usually when they're talking about that, they're not talking about the means of production. This is why people use much more precise language when they talk about economics. I'm sorry I dumbed down my language for you, and apparently you can't understand that I dumbed it down specifically because you were making dumb points. But, again, usually this is why we use more precise language than what you were using. But again, this is fine. I can tell you're malding in chat. I can tell. I can tell you're malding. It's fine. Maybe just take a break, okay? Just take a break. You're just a liar. There you go. You can take a 10-minute break. You're welcome to come back. But again, you've been extremely rude to me. You called me a cunt many times. I admit I was being a bit derogatory myself, but you came in here spewing a lot of really bad points. And very aggressively, too, right from the get-go. Plus, you called me fat, and that's just... it hits me right in my feelings. Those are thoughts I have about myself every day. You're making me feel bad. Hi, Tiniest Boop. Thank you, Sad Andy. I appreciate that. It's true. Tiniest Boop, everyone thinks you have the cutest name. I'm jealous. Yeah, Chris Matthew, we got heavily distracted by a chud in chat, but it's okay. They like to make you... well, I was trying them for a joke, because I don't actually feel bad. Like, guys, the things I tell myself in my head because I have depression are way meaner than any chud in chat could actually be to me. So it's fine. We're all Gucci. There's nothing any of you could tell me in chat that would hurt my feelings more than I hurt my own feelings on a daily basis. So it's all good. It's all good. Let's finish this fucking video where they're just saying things that are wrong.
To recruit them, he agrees to pay a full day's wage for just 1 hour of work. When one of the laborers who had worked an entire day complains, the landowner answers, "I'm not being unfair to you, friend. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money?" That's a testament to the principles of supply and demand, of private property, and of voluntary contracts, not...
I like how this entire video is him saying, well, Jesus didn't explicitly say anything about the government getting involved in taxation on behalf of the poor, so obviously Jesus couldn't have been talking about that, but then he'll use a parable to be like, yeah, this justifies supply and demand, private property, voluntary contracts, but definitely not socialism. Oh, well, Sad Andy, part of it is that China has way, way, way more people. And the other part of it is that China's economy is still growing by, like, exponentially more than the United States, right? Like, for example, I think their GDP tends to grow by, like, double digits every year. The United States, on a good year, grows by about, like, 2 or 3% on a good year. So like it might be 5 times higher for now in the United States. It's not going to be like that for very much longer.
Socialism. Jesus never endorsed the forced redistribution of wealth. That idea is rooted in envy, something that he and the...
No, that idea is not rooted in envy. It's usually rooted in people being poor and destitute on the streets and having nothing to lose. And that's when you have forced redistribution of wealth. I'm a socialist that's in favor of evolutionary action, which is working through democracy in order to achieve redistribution of wealth that is equitable and fair to every party involved. But you know what? If I don't succeed, there are going to be other people who are going for the revolutionary approach and who do come to rich people's houses with guns and who do demand wealth. So, like, again, this is a misnomer. You can be socialist without being in favor of people with guns coming to your house, coming to the houses of the rich to confiscate their Confederate gold. Um, yeah, this is a weird situation. Well, yeah, sad Andy, that's the truth. They're embracing state capitalism, but the issue with that is that the United States can't compete with China when it comes to capitalism because China has a way bigger market base and a labor base that they have yet to industrialize. So, that being the case, the United States should embrace socialism because if we don't, we're going to lose when it comes to capitalism. And we're going to lose big time to China.
10th of the Ten Commandments railed against. Most importantly, Jesus cared about helping the less fortunate. He never would have approved anything that undermines wealth creation.
Let's listen to that one sentence really, really quick. Also, it really looks like this guy just finished giving a blowjob to Jesus. Anyway.
Most importantly, Jesus cared about helping the less fortunate. He never would have approved anything that undermines wealth creation.
Jesus cared about helping the less fortunate. He never would have he never would have proposed anything that stopped wealth creation. What if opposing wealth creation meant that you could help more people who are less fortunate? I think Jesus would be in favor of that if his number one priority was helping those who are less fortunate. I think this video doesn't understand what the fuck it's saying.
And the only thing that has ever created wealth and lifted masses of people out of poverty is free market capitalism. Read the New Testament. The plain meaning of the text is loud and clear. Jesus was not a socialist. He couldn't be. He loved people, not the state.
He loved people. Weird. You know what the number one remedy for tyranny is that we have found to date? Democracy. Democracy. It's flawed, but it's the number one antidote to tyranny that we have so far as a species discovered. And you know what where the vestiges of tyranny reside right now? They reside in capitalism. If your boss tells you to do something and you don't do it, you get fired. If your boss tells you to eat shit off the floor, you get fired. And you know what? That can follow you around. It can make it hard to find other jobs. It can make it hard to make ends meet. You can literally die if you don't make enough money in the United States. So why don't we just have a system where instead that doesn't happen? Where instead we value people over the accumulation of wealth. Also, you can still accumulate wealth under socialism. In fact, most of the worker co-ops, most of the data we have on worker co-ops, which is how I advocate for us to get to socialism, indicates that worker co-ops are actually 9 to 14% more efficient than private businesses because people actually have investment in the success of the company. So, yeah, we would actually be generating more wealth under socialism than we do right now. Exactly, sad Andy. Your boss needs you more than you need your boss. And that's entirely the point. You know how to do your job better than your boss knows how to do your job. And under a democratic system, you can make the case for why things should be changed. You have more control over your workplace. And you probably get paid better, because chances are you're not getting paid the value of your labor right now. So, yeah, Is this putting hope in the state by just saying, hey, companies should be democratic? I don't think so. I don't think that's putting faith in the state. I think this is just embracing socialism. And I also think that, hey, if you aren't working, maybe you shouldn't die on the street like a dog. Maybe in the richest country in the world, we should give human beings fucking dignity, whether or not they can work. You know, a radical idea. I know, a radical idea. But I think that, again, the data shows that when we house people, when we give them health care, when we give them mental health care, people become vastly more efficient, contribute vastly more to the general economy and the wealth and the well-being of their communities. Crime rates go down, wealth in the community goes up. These are things that are good. These are things where $12 trillion, instead of going to a financial sector and getting sucked up into the pockets of the wealthy, $12 trillion to the poor. The poor know how to spend money. The poor know how to fucking survive off of money. Invest in the poor and our economy will skyrocket. And we know this. We just don't, because capitalists prefer poor people who are desperate to keep their jobs. Did you ever wonder, by the way, why companies fought against Medicare for all, even though it would reduce their, how much money they pay per worker by quite a bit? Did you ever wonder that? That's kind of weird, isn't it? It's because when your workplace controls your health insurance, you are much less likely to leave that work to either start your own business or to move to a better job, because you're afraid of losing your health insurance. You're afraid of your family losing their health insurance that they get through your job. And that power is more useful to companies than however much more they pay per employee. So, again, I want you to live in a society where the power you have at work is reflected in the power you have in a democratic government. I want you to have as much control over your workplace as you do over your local representatives. And I think that will make better companies, that will make more efficient communities, that will make a better country for all of us. I'm a patriot. I fucking love America. And it's about time that we basically started acting the way America was supposed to be.
Not the state. I'm Lawrence Reed, president of the Foundation for Economic Education for Prager University.
He's not even, guys, he's not even like a preacher of any kind. He's not a reverend. He's the head of an economic institute aligned with PragerU. I think that should tell you everything you need to know about where this guy is coming from, where his priorities lie, and why PragerU made this video. And guess what? It's not to benefit you. It's to benefit rich people who don't want you to complain too much.